This class will go on for several weeks. There's homework every week. And some of you might decide this is not for you, right? Most people getting into teams are getting in because they would like to retire and keep an income stream because they've got something and built a brand they want to keep going. Or some people just want their life back, right, Amy? Who else wants to volunteer? Ray?
Both of those, Linda. Both of those. Judy and I was so busy. Judy joined me. Now we're so busy. And we want to take more vacations. We want to take trips and we don't want to leave people hanging. So we're looking to add to our team so that we can take care of our clients even when we're not there.
Yeah, right. Donald Cranley, you had your hand up.
Good morning. So being fairly new to real estate, I just want to fully understand the whole team concept because I have asked numerous people and I always seem to get different answers on how a team works. I've always been an entrepreneur, and so I tend to go in that direction. And so that's why I fully want to understand the team.
Okay, great. Faith Erickson?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything novel to say. I don't know how a team is built properly. And yes, I would, being 100, I wouldn't mind legacy income stream. So if that can work, great. If not, um, I I I think the trick is for me, management is difficult. There's an exacting standard, and so therefore, you know, I might not be cut out for it. So I have to learn before I know the answer to that.
Thank you for being candid. It isn't for everyone. I can't tell you how many people have taken this class and decided never to have a team because
Mm,
it is not real estate sales. It is
no.
very entrepreneurial and very business-like. Diane Moore, why are you here?
Well, this is the second time I take this class, Linda.
Okay.
And I'm getting older. And I was standing in Napa Valley in a winery over the weekend, and I had to answer the freaking phone. And it's like, are you kidding me? And, I'm getting tired. And if I have a team, then you'd be able to count on other people for those little things that are making us crazy.
By the way, to get a team up and running takes a couple of years. It
Yeah.
just does. But I am going to get in. This is not going to be one of these glamorous, fun Linda O presentations. This is going to be in the weeds. It is about the details, right? So I'm going to start. I have a presentation. There's going to be homework. Some of you have seen this before. It hasn't changed, Diane, since 2022 when I last did this class. I will tell you, Zoom has all new features and is doing things differently. So please raise your hand if all of a sudden things aren't, because I noticed this morning, I thought, oh, this is different. So I need you to let me know if something isn't working right. Okay. All right. So we're going to do my keynote. I'm going to start up here. Hold on. I'm going to stop share because there's a whole new thing you have to do when you hit share. I have to shoulder to shoulder. I have to pick no colors. I have to do share sound. I have to optimize. I have to hit keynote. Okay, this will be a happier thing, I think. And then I'm going to hit play. All right, so here we are. Does it look different to you now than it usually does? Okay, side by side. I can't see it, so
There's nothing on the screen. Mine's blank.
I see it. I see side by side.
Are you seeing Empower Your Future, a new mindset?
Okay, now I see you in the thing.
Okay, great. All right. So it is a new mindset. You are all salespeople. And most of you are here because you're selling so much, you need your life back, right? But it is a different path. I just want to say that. And too many teams are just a group of people instead of some people who are on a mission, who have the right culture, who have the right systems, who have their lists down. We have to systematize. So that's where we are. Now, I don't know if anyone recognizes this amazing woman. Hold on. Okay. Her name is Jennifer King, and she was the first NFL football coach for the Washington Commanders. All right. Now, I was sitting with her at an Inman dinner, and this woman, she was delightful to talk to. And I said, "What do you do?" She said, "I'm a football coach." I'm thinking, what is she doing at this real estate conference? And she was so nice. She didn't say for the Washington Commanders or anything else. I thought, oh, great. And then she was the keynote speaker. And she said something that just has resonated that I've never forgotten. And it was simply like, how do you break the barrier? How do you become a female coach in the NFL? You know, one of the most testosterone heavy places on earth, right? She said, you just have to be so exceptional that no one can ignore you, right? And I think in leadership, people expect you to be so exceptional that no one can ignore you. So I've said this a million times, but if you're kind of new, or maybe John Cranley, you haven't heard this, but this is John Wooden. And John, you know, was an esteemed UCLA basketball coach for years. And he said, if you want to win championships, you must take care of the smallest of details. And the story I always use is the one where you're new on his team and the first day of practice, and these, you know, high school stars who have gotten on to his championship team, the first thing he talks about is how to tie your shoes. And people are like, are you, you know, we're grown-ups, you don't need to tell us that. And he's going, no. If you don't tie your shoes right, if you don't get your socks on straight, if you have a little bump and it causes a blister, it impacts the whole team when you slow down, when you're limping around, when you can't run. So this class is about those tiny details, kind of like how to tie your shoes. And I just want you to be aware of that right from the beginning. Now, you've heard the term contact sport. This is a contact sport. That's what this is. And if you're going to run a team, you're responsible for lead generation for yourself and your team, meaning you don't have to give leads to your team, but you have to have so many listings that there's all kinds of opportunities for your teams to meet other buyers and sellers. And that's how I look at it. Like you really, this is a contact sport. Have you been good? Are you always updating your contacts? Is everyone that ever came through an open house that didn't say they were working with someone else in Real Scout right now and in a drip campaign of some sort or on your CRM? These things are critical. The little story I like to use is when COVID started down in Perkins Cove, there's a cute little pottery shop, and John own it. And I've known them, had them for dinner. They're just delightful people. But one of them is a real estate agent, a Coldwell banker. And he was really good about collecting. I mean, you didn't walk into that store without giving your email address, right? He had contact information for everybody. And when COVID hit quite suddenly, he was able to convert his business because he could contact everyone that ever went through. And he did a Saturday morning show from the pottery shop highlighting, you know, by the way, this pottery shop is way beyond pottery. It is like the best gift shop I've ever seen. It just, they have such great taste. They had so many books, they opened a bookshop, but it had so many things in it that they would highlight one of the vendors or something special in their shop. And they said sales were better during COVID than they were when they were open in Perkins Cove because they had the contacts. Have you been relentless about making sure you have people in your database to spread your messages to, right? In order to stay in front of them. So I'm just saying that this is critical and it's just a simple reminder. Also, teamwork is the ultimate competitive advantage. You've seen it. Big teams are perceived to have better service, whether it's true or not, because some of them have terrible service, right? But the consumer thinks, is all these people working for me? That's why if you are a solo agent, you present yourself as a team on every listing appointment. You know, I have a design team, I have an attorney, I have home inspectors, I have, you know, all this amazing liaison support at my office to produce all the materials you need. Make sure you understand that. But also, when you have things you're good at. Everyone here is good at a different part of the business. You need people to do the things that you're not good at so that everything is complete. Okay, imagine if you could get all the people in your organization rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry in any market against any competition at any time. You know, I have to say, you know, Allison's been out and the team is a little wonky right now. But back in its heyday, when Mom and I were leading a team and we had 5 full-time agents, we didn't just dominate Melrose, we dominated the entire Eastern Middlesex Association of Realtors. We were number one for years. And my job was to go out and provide listings, and the team worked off those listings, right? Got their own listings, brought them to the team. At some point in this conversation, we will talk about compensation, how you find people. I will give you the ads. I mean, I'm going to get into every detail, but you know, if you get everyone on the same boat, rowing the same direction, powerful things can happen. Building a team is possible, simple, painfully difficult, right? Once I give you the formula, it's like, yeah, I can follow that. But ready, the human dynamics. The biggest problem people have is they say, oh, I need an assistant. You're willing to be an assistant? You can be my assistant. No. Or you're in real estate? I need a team member. No. When you have a team, think of it always as marriages. These are marriages. You need to be on the same page with the same goals, the same culture. You have to really respect everybody on the team. And you can't have a B player. If you have a B player that's as good as your team, is only a B team, right? Everybody has to be great. You've heard me probably say it. The team at Leading Edge right now, that staff, we're humming. We've gotten rid of all the problematic people. They're not here anymore. Is everybody on the team perfect? No. But everybody here, wants to be better, strives to do their best, has a great attitude. You'll know that that is so important. If you are hiring, the number one thing you want to hire on is attitude. You can teach people a lot of things, but if they have the right attitude, you're getting the right people in the right place. Okay, so our lives are full of administrative tasks. Here's a little stat I had forgotten about till I was rereading this morning. 80% of your life is administrative tasks. 80%. You wonder why you're busy? You're doing things that you don't have to do. The only thing that makes you money is lead generation, going on appointments with clients, and putting a deal together. 80% of what you do doesn't make you any money. So I don't know if you've ever attended this event I did. It's called How to Be in Two Places at Once. And what I do, and I'll just explain this to you, is I get a volunteer to come to the front of the room, and then I have the whole group that's present shout out all the administrative things that don't make you money. And I start putting scarves all over you until you can't hold anything anymore because you are buried in scarves, for every, putting contacts in your database, going to make keys, putting a lockbox on a house. It goes on and on. Preparing the brochures, getting ready for an appraisal. I mean, you can go on. I can list the tasks. I have lists that go like this. All of those things you don't have to do. When I was a big listing agent, the years I was doing like 90 listings a year, my team just needed to, put the things ready. If I had to do a CMA, they got it all ready. I just put the comps in and wrote the description of property. That was my job, right? But everything else was put together for me. Because all those things take so much time. And you can run around. We used to put our own signs in the ground. That's insane. I could not put a sign up that stood straight. We got rid of that fast. Now, I want you to think about, then I started to throw fruit at you. Okay, and the pineapples were buyers. They're heavier. They take 3 times as much of your time as a seller does. That's the average. I didn't make that up. I don't know if it was Brian Buffini. It wasn't Brian Buffini. It was one of those coaches who actually did a study. Buyers take 3 times more time of your time than sellers. So the pineapples were buyers. The oranges, which are small, can be caught, are listings. The bananas are all the crazy people. All right? And then I had a couple of apples, because like the apple of your eye, you gave a teacher an apple. Those are good. Those are those really good clients that just do everything you say. There's only a few of those, right? So, but what happened is because you're covered in Joe Scott here has actually collected everything. We put everything in his hand. But what happens, I start throwing them, you start dropping things, right? You can't catch all the pineapples with the scarves on. You can't catch all the listings. You can't catch all the apples. You can't catch all the bananas, right? This is what happens. So you start dropping them, which is exactly what happens. I didn't call that buyer back. I didn't get back to that listing as fast as I should have. Oh my God, they're such nice people, but I've been ignoring them because they're not squeaky. Because why? 80% of your life is doing administrative tasks. That's why. Is this making sense to everybody? Okay. Now, I'm just going to tell you now, and I'm going to say it a million times during this thing. People hesitate to bring on an administrator first because it costs money. Right? It costs, people don't want to spend the money. I can do that myself. That's the part I like, which is awesome. But every time you're doing any of the millions of things I can list, or I just started to list, you're not doing anything that makes you money. Or you're hiding behind it, thinking it's a lot easier, quite frankly, to go get the keys and put the lockbox on than to actually call people and talk to them, or make a lunch date, or go have coffee. Right? Is everyone with me so far? I guess it's a Zoom. All right. All righty. So that's my administrative tasks thing. Let's see. All right. Here is a doctor. I want you to picture yourself right now. You are the doctor. And just like real estate, imagine the doctor that does everything, right? The doctor answers the call and makes your appointment. She signs you in at the front desk. She gets your insurance information, right? Then she, gets your copay. She gives you a Johnny and weighs you and takes your blood pressure. She cleans the exam room, takes the little paper off. She gives you an exam. She writes you a prescription, which is the stuff that you really do. You do give the exam and you do write the prescription, right? Then she schedules your next appointment, and then she calls you the day before your next appointment. Is that what you're doing in real estate? Do you expect the doctor to do that for you? And yet, is that the stuff that you're doing all day long? Yes. Right? And by the way, I learned early on, as nice as it is to go and personally help someone clean out their garage and get ready, if you're the person that goes and cleans out the garage when you could have called one call hauls all junk removal, you're only at the level of, you're only to the bottom level, right, of perception. Now you're a janitor and a trash sweep of sorts. You shouldn't be doing that stuff. Now, if someone's in a wicked pinch, did I go grab cans of paint, at the closing? Yeah, you do what you have to do so you close. But if you have someone you can call and say, can you go swing by and get it? Call TaskRabbit. This is not a good use of your time. Some of you are making $50, $100, $250, $500 an hour. Some of you are even higher than that. You don't pay these people $500 an hour to do those things. You have to take care of yourself. Okay, so you are the sales labor force. We just said that, right? It's you, but you can't do everything. And if you want to scale your business, you have to let go of things, right? It's math. It just can't all be you. There are two paths in real estate. One is a sales business. Those are the people who go out and make money. You're a sales agent. Or there's a business model. Donald Cranley, this should be very intuitive to you. You ran a very big, successful business. You had personnel items. You had procedures, right? So this should fall kind of neatly in your lap.
Correct. At one time I had 2 locations with 25 employees under me, and I was responsible to make sure we brought in enough revenue to employ all of those people.
Right. And that is a huge responsibility.
It
Right.
is.
Right. And it also means you're not on the floor at the cash register, right? You can't do those kind of things. So you need, what is your highest and best use? So we're going to talk about that at length. So, here's your comfort zone, and where the magic happens is you notice it's not in your comfort zone, right? You're responsible now for the marketing, the prospecting, generating leads, converting leads, servicing the leads, and repeat. That's the stuff that makes you money. Not all those administrative tasks, marketing, prospecting, generating the leads, making sure there's a conversion system, servicing the leads, repeat. That's what you do. Okay, the typical agent, did you notice I picked out someone on the phone? Right? Does that resonate for you? But this group can't be the solo agent who's on the phone all day long, right? They're spontaneous. They do whatever needs. They're reactive all day long, right? This happened, this happened. I'm responding. But this group, excuse me, right, is going to be intentional, proactive, and they're going to welcome discomfort. And the only way you do that, you have to be a little willing to suffer. It's not going to feel good. You're going to be different, right? And even if you never, ever join a team or build a team, going through this will appreciate your own business. There are things you can learn if you decide not to do this. So right now, and you've heard me say this, everybody here, for the most part, is very busy, but you're making excuses being busy, but you're not really focused on the vital work. And the vital work is what I just talked about. Generating leads, prospecting, marketing to build leads, converting the leads, servicing the leads. That's it. That's it. You can be so busy doing things that aren't the vital work. And so that's really what I just want to talk about this morning. I'm going to send you my team building program. All right. I put together all these papers. You can read it. You know, if you suffer from insomnia, I'm sure it'll help you go to sleep. But in there, we have a team leader blueprint, team leader brainstorming, terms of a worthy 50-50 partnership. 50-50 partnership might be Ray and Judy, right? They're doing different parts of the business. This was born from Mom and I. Mom and I were fundamentally very different people. I am the driver expressive all day long, and she was the analytical amiable. It made for a nice team. We filled in all the holes, right? But we didn't bean count. We didn't say, well, at one point, I did drive the leads. I was good at marketing. I was the driver expressive. I was really good at open houses. And I could have said, Mom, like 80% of the people we work with came from me, so I'm keeping most of the money. And that is not how I act, because you know why? I couldn't take care of all those people. My mom was willing to do all the open houses, to do all the showings. She liked to work with buyers. I like to work with listings. Like, it was an amazing partnership. She's like, some listings you have to sell and you don't even like the house. But when you have the buyers, you can select a good house for them. Like, that was her mindset, right? And then, because this is a local column, we're not giving it to anyone else. She said, look at all the Sexton and Donahue people. They sell people houses and they get great turnover because they sell them crappy houses that they want to get out of in 5 years. We put them in houses they can stay in. Like, she was so proud of that, right? The New Agent Foundation, I think some of this might need to be updated. And honestly, I did not update it in the last few days. So I think it's basically true. I'm going to send it to you now. But Jennifer, we do need to just update it with our stuff. Or maybe you could even do that before we send it out. We have a mentoring program. We have a team member agreement. You know, what's the financial deal? Which is an amendment to the contractor's agreement. I put in an employment application. Act like a true employer. How many of you ever used one besides Dawn? Right? Donnie used them. Interview questions. If you're hiring an admin, they might be the nicest people in the world, but I have a little math test. You know, because if they can't do math, they can't figure out the commissions, they don't understand percentages. Like, these things become really important. I have red flags, things you should look out for, things that don't work. There are people who want to join your team because you're successful and they want your leads, and I would call them takers, not givers, right? They don't want to be under your brand. They don't want to use the team logo. They don't want to, you know, share their contacts with you. You know, these people want to go off and build their own team and just suck up all your juice. These are not the right people for a team. Let them go suck up from somebody else, not you. And we're going to talk about the profiles of the best team members. And then I have a terms of a worthy 50-50 partnership or team member. And I just have a little, basically, these are all my essays on team building. All right. And I put them together. This is the blueprint. Be more than fair about clients. One of the things some team leaders do, is they say, listen, you do my open house, but I want a referral fee. I was like, no, no, no. If someone is willing to be there on a Saturday or Sunday or Monday night and it's not you, give it to them, right? You can't. Mary Shememi on her team, she shares a lot of things. She said, I can't be everywhere. I'm going to share 50-50 with, I'll take a listing and say, it's too far for me to service. You'll do all the running. I'll deal with the client, right? And she shares. And she's highly successful because she doesn't think about the money. Like, how can this work better? And then the money comes, right? Come with a mentality of abundance. If you are doing your lead generation job, you'll be glad to have your team members handle the client. I never, in my final 7 or 8 years, I never worked with a buyer. When my sister Michelle wanted help, I said, you'll have to go work with Allison, because once you take on the pineapples, right, you get sucked in. I worked it up so that every single, if you wanted to buy a house, I had a dialogue on the phone, like, I would love to help you. Thank you so much for calling me. Right now, you've caught me at a time when I'm afraid I can't service you really well. But Kim Izzy, or or Allison Sosha, or Debbie Chandler are amazing agents. They understand how this team works. They will take exceptional care of you. And I quickly got them on the phone, because the more you talk to them, the little duckies imprint on you, and they want Donnie, they want Faith, they want Maureen. That's how they want. No, no, no. This is how. And you know what? At the end of one transaction, Allison had been invited to the lake house and the ski house, etc., and they didn't even care where I lived anymore. But I've given them up. That buyer, if they go to resell, is going to call Allison, not me. But I'm okay, because I have so many leads coming in, because I'm getting so good at this, right? And that's where I'm focusing, that I can give things away for quality of life. I've also said, if you haven't heard me say it, you can do a lot of the listing work in your pajamas. It is less taxing. It is a much higher skill. Listing houses requires amazing marketing, negotiating skills, putting this all together, understanding the landscape, doing your due diligence, so much more with listing, as far as I'm concerned, right? But if you have a team looking up all the due diligence, and all you have to do is just talk to the client, negotiate for the client. And I used to try to do the first open house. Not anymore. I would do the first one. I'd say to the client, I'm going to do the first one. Sometimes we'd have 5 listings in 1 week, and we just didn't have enough bodies. And they'd take a client because they knew our system was true. Do never refer to the people on your team as a buyer's agent. If you do that, if they say, hi, I'm Diane Moore, I'm the buyer agent on this team, and you're sitting at a listing, do you think if they have a house to sell, they're going to ask you to list it? No. You're an executive team member. That's a nice way to say it. Be an executive team member. Hold a team meeting once a week at least. And it's all training, it's accountability, the struggles, talk about those things. So that's what we've got going on there. So
Linda,
smart.
I made a note in the chat if you could check it out. Thank you.
Yes or no, because I have a new computer and my mouse isn't happy, you'll have to say it out loud, because my mouse won't work on
Okay, it's hard for us to read the page that you're featuring, because the view that you're presenting is with you
So
in the
small.
page, so we can't open the page.
All right. This is good. Hold on.
Thank you.
Let me hit escape. We can do something different. Hold on. I've got my mouse back. Stop sharing Keynote. Okay. Hold on. Stop share. If I hit share, can I go back to, hold on. I think this will solve it. Better?
Much better. Thank you.
See?
Thank
Thank you. But I'm just really talking with you. You don't really need to read it so much. I'm just highlighting some things. You're going to get the little book, right? But it's A plus people and systems with the 4 criteria. And this is for people on your team. The airport test. If you were stuck at the airport, would you want to be stuck next to them? These are people on your team. Would you want to spend 5 hours in an airport next to these people? Think about that. The shower test. Are they thinking about business and improving the team in the shower? Not you. Like, are they all in? Right? Are they half full? Is it a half full glass? Are they optimistic? Nobody needs a pessimist on their team. There's always problems with pessimists, right? People who sell real estate see solutions. Are they solution oriented? Do they create problems or solve problems? You may have heard me say this. I said this in boot camp probably 15, 20 years ago. And I said, listen, I've divided the world into 2 classes of people. Everybody falls into one group: problem solvers and people who create problems. Think about everyone you know. Think about your family. Think about your friends, right? Everybody's in one of these camps. Build your real estate practice like a doctor. Who weighs the patient? Who gives the shot? Who delivers the bad prognosis, the recommendations, and writes prescriptions? That's your job, right? Who is the seller's agent? Handling agency on the team. Only the listing agent is the seller's agent. Do not go in, unless you're a 50-50 partnership, don't make all your team members the seller's agent, because then if they find a buyer at the open house, they're in dual agency. So the whole team is not a seller's agent. Only probably the team leader, and if Donnie was on my team, it'd be Donnie and I. I want you to think about agency and handling it correctly, because there are some teams that everybody works with the seller and then they're all in dual agency if they came up with a buyer, right? Oftentimes, if a buyer's coming direct, you're going to want to get a buyer agreement, because they might want, if they need to not just buy this house, they're newer to the market, and you're going to start to show them things, right? You're going to go out and show them 7 other things. Remember, your job is focus on listing leads and marketing. Maybe you want to do seminars. Give up buyers. Team leaders grow when they give away all their buyer leads. Be prepared for the trials, tribulations, and lessons you're going to get, and come to boot camp. There's a team member agreement. Again, you don't need to read it. Just know we have one. Here's a real estate employment application. Here's questions you can ask. Tell me about your family, recreation. What formal educational seminars have you participated in? When? Describe your reading habits. Like, I like people who read. I need to be surrounded by people who read. It's just me. This might not be important to you, but are they on social media all day and they don't read anything? I don't know. Are they looking to learn? I don't care if it's fiction or what. Describe a complex situation in which you had to learn a lot quickly. How did you go about learning, and how successful were the outcomes? Are you computer literate? There are some people out there that are coming out of the work, maybe they've been parents at home, men or women who just really aren't technically astute. I am sometimes shocked when I meet 35-year-olds that just really don't know how to operate. I had a Zoom recently with someone very young who wanted to get in real estate. She really couldn't get on the Zoom. She seemed really smart, but she hadn't done work where she had to Zoom, and she didn't come prepared enough to get on early if she didn't know what she was doing. There are some people who just aren't. Now, by the way, there's some kick-ass agents that are on social media and they're not technically challenged. Just know that you're going to have to adapt to them, or they're going to have to adapt to you. I mean, like, you're going to have to understand they're not going to do some things you might want to do. They may not be a fit for your team. What kind of people do you enjoy working with? Do you want to work as a part of a team or on your own? Anyway, all that stuff is there. Activities that you most enjoy. What is it that makes you tick? What's your highest and best use? Ramsey talks about this all the time. Right? Now, Ray, I want you to talk to us. I know you feel really super comfortable doing a lot of it because you're good. You're worried that no one's going to do it as well as you do. You have all the answers and you want to make sure it's done right. Is that true?
That is a weakness of mine. I do not delegate well, not even to sign installers.
Right. He's doing his own signs. Right. And by the way, do you think that might be why you feel like you don't have a life?
It
If they,
certainly adds to it, Linda. Yep,
right,
this is the battle I'm having. Yep.
right. And you know, you do kind of get over yourself. However, what I have learned is that no matter who you hire, you're going to be better than them at some of the things. But what I've also learned is that some of these other people you hire, they're actually better than you are. And they think of different solutions, right? You have to be willing to allow some mistakes to happen as they're ramping up. And that's what's so hard. But unless you delegate and give them control, honestly, though, there are people like, I'm just saying right now, Jennifer Manning. She came into my life and it was like, wow, right? She anticipates everything. I get a email by 6:30. I mean, a text by 6:30, just reminding me where I'm supposed to be and what I'm doing, right? She's after they're with you a year, they know what's happening next. They know what needs to the next boot camp. I don't have to explain anything to her because she understands there's so much for her to do, but she already knows that what has to be done. So that first year is harder on you because you gotta walk them through and make sure they've got things. But as things repeat, you know, and by the way, she's, you know, she anticipates things. She tells me things I should be thinking of. These people are hard to find. But with the same ad, I got, and I'm very proud of this, Jennifer Manning and Deb Walker. Two absolutely fantastic people, right? Again, they are hard to find, but there are amazing people out there that you can completely trust that think of it like their own. The shower test, I know Jennifer's thinking about what needs to happen for the company and me all the time. She can't help it. I am so sorry I bother you on weekends and evenings. That's not her job. She works 9 to 5. But I'll tell you also, it's like, because I know she does those, take the day off, Jennifer. I'm not very busy today. You know, it's a beach day. Go have a beach day. Because because that's how we've worked it out, Jennifer, right? So I want her to be, get the time off when she can, because sometimes it does spill over. Does your job doesn't fit neatly into 9 to 5, right? Uh, Lisa Fig and Debbie Runcie work 9 to 5, but they will do things off hours. They're not supposed to, but they do, right? But in return, you give them time to go to the doctors, to take care their dogs to the vets. Those things, have to work. They have to kind of think like a realtor does. So I want you to think about your highest and best use. Every time you're putting a sign in the ground or doing some administrative task, Ray, you're not calling someone for a beer, right? And that is where all the money is. I had a delightful experience with Ray and Judy recently. We went to dinner across from the Andover office, and they were waving to people, going over to talk to people because they were out in their community. So all those things are really important. Somehow, the Italian, I don't know. If you can lower my hand, Jennifer, because I don't know why my mouse won't work in this new Zoom. Thank you. Okay, so what you're asking to do is to go from salesperson to entrepreneur, right? It's a different life. I want you to think like an entrepreneur. You have to establish duplicable and you have to be able to delegate systems. You need all of that all lined up. You have to be willing to attract talent and willing and able to drive your systems, right? The right people who will work your way. You will know in a week whether they work or not. They don't want to do it that way. If you hire an agent who's worked at another company and wants to continue to do things the way they did them at the other company, they're not the right match, right? And this requires new skills. You need your operational disciplines. You need lead gen, lead conversion, and be able to service them. But your entrepreneurial disciplines are leading. Think about leadership. Take the time, if you think about doing this, just go on YouTube. There's amazing leadership videos. telling you what kind of person, because to lead, you have to be the kind of person people want to follow, right? So your character, your style of handling problems is everything. If you whine or complain or are dramatic, that is not the makings of a good team leader. You have to be calm under pressure, solution oriented, planning. You got to run the business. You got to have a business plan. And you have to be concerned about your staffing. Now, right now, you are the staff, most of you. You're the staff, right? Who's going to help you? You can't ignore the entrepreneurial responsibilities. And that's why teams don't work. That's why there's just a bunch of people working together without real systems, etc. Think of it this way. You need to provide direction and clarity. If you unite the team around your cause or your mission. By the way, Diane Moore is going to have a different mission than Donald Cranley, than Ray and Judy Durling. You have to rally around a team goal, which, by the way, does not have to be how many units you're going to sell. We never, on our team, the one that Allison has run recently, had a goal like we're going to sell so many units. It was always, how are we going to be better? What can we do better? What systems can we improve? How are we going to do our marketing? What's our lead generation? And set those kind of goals. Set behavioral standards, behavior you won't tolerate. The minute you tolerate any behavior that is not worthy of your team, that's as good as your team is. You'll see agents periodically disappear from our company. They have not been evaporated. There's no magic, but we're always graceful. We never say why, but I can tell you why a lot of them go. People who don't treat the staff well. Delegate instead of abdicate. You're not a king. You are not the ruler. You're not really special, right? Develop team members. Why would anyone join you? Why on earth would anyone be on a 50-50 split with you? You need to think about that. Too many people say, I want a team so I can make more money. I'm like, our team kind of evolved not as making money, but like to handle all the business, to have quality of life. And there is money to be made. But the reason team leaders pay you is because for the opportunity. Think of it as like referral fees, because they have more open houses to go to, because they can get more business this way, because you're always there to mentor them and respond to them. So remember, it's not all I have to go on vacation. You're having quality people. It takes a while to get people up and running so that they can run independently. By the way, if you're on vacation, they can call Steve, Eileen, or I, right? They don't have to call you. You can have, that's what we do. That's how we spend our weekends and evenings, talking to you and your team members. And you have to challenge them to improve. People come to you because they want to be better, because they want to make money. What is their opportunity? All right. Is this the career path you want? I just want to ask, right? So remember, effective leadership. Are you a leader worth following? Core ideology. Who do you aspire to be? What do you stand for? What do you believe? How do you behave? Your leadership determines the outcome every day, week, month, and year. Listen, we all have a bad day, but you got to hide it. I have bad days. I get mad, but you don't see me screaming or yelling or getting upset or ever. There's no upside to that. I'm constructive. I'm reflective, right? Got to figure out how to make this work, and that's your job. So entrepreneurial responsibilities, leaders cultivate the best team. They hire carefully. They develop staff and agents. They reward and recognize people. Are in real estate, they love to be recognized, right? And that's your job to do it too, not just ours. You have to focus on retaining the right people. Why would someone like Kim Izzy or Deb Chandler, who independently make the top producer retreat, decide to stay on the team? Why would they do that? Why are they willing to share? Independently, they could make more money, right? If they capped, because they're on straight splits. But why do they stay? For the structure, for the help. They stay because they need the admins we've hired, right? So that's how that works. Have clear goals, have a fair financial model, have operational systems. Don't accept anything less than standards, live their values, set clear expectations, have a vision for the team. All right, so here we are. There's no growth without discomfort. We live in a world of abundance. Remember, there's plenty. I think when you have a mindset of scarcity, everything is so important and every penny is so important, that spills over. You've got to come from, I know Tom Cody's and Amy are on this call on Mary Schmemmy's team. Can you want to weigh in on the mindset of abundance that Mary Schmemmy has?
Sure. She's always just willing to, I mean, we share. We bounce ideas off of each other, we bounce business off each other. You just know that your team members have your back. And it's not like, oh my God, we got to get the next sale in. It's, there's always something in the works.
Right.
It just, and you have, it's just a really good feeling to be surrounded with like-minded people to work that close with. And that's, for me, that's why I went from being solo to joining Mary's team.
Right.
I wanted that.
And there is abundance, right? There's plenty. And
Yeah,
she shares
plenty.
things. If it's her
Absolutely.
listing, she's sharing the listing. She's
Yep.
sharing buyers, right? And that's very unusual. You have to understand the market does not and will not determine your income. I have been prepared. By the way, it can't happen differently. I remember saying a long time ago, after the 2000 and the Great Recession, the housing crash that really happened here much earlier than 2009. That's when it was its worst. I kept saying, we're going to be prepared. We don't care how the market is. We don't care if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. All we need to do is create reality for the people. Prices are going down. We need to get them to price right, right? If prices are going up, we need buyers to understand they have to pay more than anyone else. So it doesn't matter how the market is. You can work in any market. Now, what happened at our last time that things got tough is interest rates dropped the market inventory by 30%. So you had to be willing to eat somebody else's lunch if you're going to eat. You had to be way stronger. Some people went sideways. Some people have had the best 2 years of their lives because they just went all in. Our only limit is time. You can do a lot, right? Success stems from duplicable processes and systems. It is unacceptable to be unprofitable. If we help enough people get what they want, we will get what we want. That's the whole mentality, right? Help them get what they want, and then we'll get what we want. Focus is the key to success. It's win-win or no deal. Everyone has to win. Cost is only an issue in the absence of value. This is why leading edge agents, I think, are making more money than other companies because people perceive our value. Tom Cody, I love that you shared, and Amy sharing that story. We were so proud of you, right? It made you step up. That was the collegiality. That's the cooperation. That's the sharing. Tom could have kept it to himself. This is how I do it. But he knew it wouldn't hurt him. I share everything. I've been doing boot camp since 2004. I shared all my ideas with everyone. It never hurt the team, right? Sharing your good ideas. Okay. I want you now to all take time and think about it for a minute and then put it in the chat. Identify the one thing that would make the biggest impact in your business. What's the one thing after hearing this that would really greatly impact your business? Of course, and I've got to figure out how to make my, oh, damn it. Oh, you got a mouse.
I can read the chat out to you, Linda.
I know. I don't know why that's happening.
Um, Yep, so it's coming through. So Diane said having an excellent assistant. Amy, I still need to let go and allow our assistants to do more of my tasks. Janet says taking this class. Donnie says having more time free to network and lead generate. Maureen says more time for prospecting.
Yeah.
Amy Kirsch says finding a team would open more opportunities. Tom Cody, take advantage of team taking on the day-to-day task and dive into my sphere. Ray says having a team member who will treat clients as well as Judy and I do when we're not there.
Yeah. There are people it's hard to imagine, Ray, that there are people as nice as you and Judy, but there absolutely positively are people as nice as you and Judy out there who care, but they're hard to find. But look what Mary's got on her team, Tom and Amy, like they're excellent agents. I have the pleasure of having Mary as a friend. She talks about you behind your backs all the time, how great you are, how much she can count on you, how good you are. Like Tom, she talks about lead conversion. You're unbelievable, right? And you both do what you say you're going to do. Amy, just like she feels the same way. Like she just feels like she's died and gone to heaven with really great people. But she struggled. And by the way, Mary's had some pretty crappy people on her team in the past that didn't work out, right? And she kept them for too long. When she knew she had a team member that didn't think she was new to the business, that she should work with Kevin McRobbie. Like, what? She knows what she's doing. She didn't feel like she needed to attend all the training. I was like, Mary, this is not working. You can't trust her. She just thought, I'm with Mary. Mary will tell me what to do. I'm like, no, we are sitting here behind you with the resources to make sure you don't have to worry about all those details. Kevin McRobbie will help your team learn all the systems, back you up. You're there to show them how to you go through a home inspection, etc. All right. Good news for you. I'm almost done. Sorry about that. Got to work the Zoom thing out. This is going to drive me crazy. There we go. All right, play. Continue to share. Oh, can you see it? Does it say homework? It does. Good. All right. Self-evaluation. All right. You've done this at boot camp. You've done it before. If you already know exactly where you are, I don't care. But if you need a refresher, Jennifer's going to send out the personality test, because we're going to base a lot of this entire program on your particular personality, on how you should hire, who you should hire, right? So she's going to send this out to you. You just a quick reminder, you fill out, you circle L or R or A and B, you count them up, and then you add up your highest two numbers and you find them on this chart, and then you're going to find out which box you're in, and you need to let me know what box you're in, right? And you got to remember what box you're in. All right, next. I want you to ask yourself, why would anyone work with you? What do you offer, either as a team member or as a team leader? What's in it for them, not you? Remember what Jennifer King said, be so exceptional you can't be ignored. This is the homework I'm going to send out. So you're going to write this down. You're going to give it to me by Wednesday. This would be an actual deadline. If you're a team leader, you have to meet your deadlines, right? So you have till Wednesday. Who do you aspire to be? What do you stand for? What do you believe? How, I should say, how do you behave when there's a problem? What one thing could you start doing immediately that would have the biggest impact on your business? 6, why should someone work with you? What do you offer your team? And fill out the behavioral assessment. And that is that. But we need to work out our, put this down, our schedule. My mom's funeral is next Friday, so I'm not going to be here on Friday. I'd love to do something next week, but I'd like to try to accommodate the group. I could do something early in the morning on another day. and Thursday is Relentless Focus at 8:30. Um, w- I could do Wednesday morning at 8. Does it, let me make sure my calendar. Is there, would that work for people?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it
Wednesday
anyone,
works for me. Wednesday's
does
good.
Yes.
Wednesdays? All right, because I'd like to keep on task. Oh,
Well-
doesn't work for you, Faith? Faith, what's your timing? Early?
I'm attending a seminar in Springfield, Mass, actually that morning at 10 to 12.
Okay, you'll be on the road.
I mean, I can listen while I'm driving, but
If you can, and we'll have the recording for you. Do you mind if everyone else is good?
okay. Yeah, that's fine. I just,
Okay.
I won't probably be, my face won't be present.
That's fine. That would work for me, because if we can do Wednesday just this week, that would be great. And everyone knows, I think I'm doing an event in, again, but when is the dinner? I can't, Jennifer will tell us when that is. You're all invited.
October 5th, so that is a week from Sunday.
Oh, so Sunday night.
Yes, Sunday night. That's October 5th, so not this
Okay.
Sunday, the following.
And don't anyone feel obligated to go, but at some point I just need to know how many people are coming. We're going to take a nice walk. We're going to have dinner and you can go back home. It's basically an hour to almost everywhere. I can get home. Melrose an hour, Andover an hour, maybe an hour and 2. Amy, you're probably coming from the farthest away, or Carmen, depending on where you are. But Arlington's probably a little about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'd love to have you join us. That would be nice. How about questions? Let's talk about, I'd like to just download what is going on in your head right now.
So
Little-
I'd like to say something. So I did this class before, and I knew at the time I wasn't going to build a team. But John and I have kind of built this improv team because we accent each other's skills so masterfully. Like I'm good with people, I am not good with the COO stuff, and John backs me up. And I know my handicaps, and John knows his. So it's kind of worked for us, and we just do just about everything together. Like he's my, business husband that's not my husband, but it's working out. So, we do need an assistant that, we possibly could look into, but I think it's a matter of finding your skills and knowing your handicaps, and then finding the person that has those handicaps as his skills or her skills. And that's how it's working.
As long as you figure out the money and everyone feels like it's fair, right? How are you compensated for helping each other out? That's the key thing. And that's where so many teams go down. People don't feel like compensation is fair. Team members often don't understand all the expenses team leaders have with administrators, with paying for marketing, etc. Right? And so, and they're substantial. They can be very substantial. They don't understand that. I once had a very, very productive team member who wanted a higher split, and I said, "Well, if you can have it, but you'd have to go to leading edge and be an independent agent." She's like, "Oh, but I can't give up the support." I went, "Well, that costs a lot of money. If you went to leading edge, you'd have to go get your own support person, and that's probably the money you'd be spending, So it has to work for everybody. And, she stayed on the team. Who else has got, Carmen, what are you thinking?
I am listening through the various teams through the years of my experience being on teams and leading teams. And I think it's like refreshing to hear sort of through your wisdom and experience, like I can identify why things didn't work before, why things have worked. And it's like, faces of people are coming to my mind of like, that's why this person worked really well. That's why this person didn't work really well. So I am looking forward to like getting it right.
No one gets it right generally out of the gate, but asking, they always say, what, hire slow, fire fast. And if there's, ask any team leader, they just haven't fired people that didn't work soon enough. That's how it goes. Anybody else want to kind of weigh in? And honestly, if I just said the homework would do Wednesday because I was planning on doing that Friday, can you have it to me on Tuesday? Because I actually need the behavioral assessment on Tuesday.
Mhm.
Okay. So have it for me on Tuesday. I can even change that before we send it out to you, Tuesday. Who else? Anybody else would like to? Ray, what are you thinking? Oh, John?
I'll springboard off of what Diane said. And, I spent a lot of years managing people, so I get that. But I also know the quality I expect out of my own work. And so trying to find somebody else there that has that same level of expertise or that same drive to get it right for the client has always been a challenge for me. And Diane and I just kind of stepped into it. So at a point now where if I can't cover something and Diane can, I have the absolute full confidence that she's going to do it just like I would. She's going to get it done. And I think you spoke about as you build a team, you have to have the quality people that fit that team. And I think that's the most important part of putting a team together. So that's why Diane and I are exploring this.
I love that you said, she thinks like I do, should do things the same way. Well, I'll tell you, my mom and I did not do things the same way, right? And that was initially hard for me. Like I would come back and she will have solved the home inspection issue differently than I would have done it. But I needed to say, but she took care of it.
But that's
She-
it, the results, Linda. We
Right.
know, like John
But
and I know that if either one of us are present, the results there will be a result.
Yeah. The other thing about my mom, if I left her on vacation, she was not great at pricing because she wanted to please the client. She was amiable, right? So every time I came back from vacation, I had overpriced listings. It was the way it was. And then, we'd have to work it around it. But, if they really wanted to try, she was not the challenger I was, right? I would challenge people. I tried to get them to price right. I'm not saying I never had an overpriced listing, but it was kind of a thing. And she kept saying, I know, but they wanted to try it. And I was like, oh, Mom. But I got to go on vacation and I had a listing, right? And you have to think that way. Like you have to accept the way it's done differently. But she had the best of intentions, and maybe sometimes she got the money I didn't expect. So, all right, anybody else want to weigh in? I want to call them Ray and Amy, or Amy Kirsch, because I know Ray.
Yeah, I asked for this course, so Linda, thank you so much for offering it. I've been really thinking about like, what is it going to mean if I create a team? I'm at the point in my career that I feel like I've been there long enough. People are starting to come to me to ask about real estate if they're interested in going into it. And so I'm kind of feeling like I'm at a space where I have stuff to share as well. And
Right.
That took time and energy and, just paying my dues in the business. And I feel like maybe, who knows?
Now we will talk about it, but you're right. When you're successful, people come to you and they want to get into real estate. And I'll tell you now, it doesn't mean it's a good match. Just because someone wants to get into real estate does not mean they should be on your team. But some of my most successful team members over the years were former clients that either I approached or they approached us. But you know what? We knew how they acted when things went wrong. Right? Your true colors come out in a real estate transaction. And that was, Michelle Goodwin, Heidi Russo, all started as clients. Juliet Leiden, clients. Really good people. We trusted them. We knew we could. We'd been through. So think about that too. So anyway, how about that? I ended early. Anybody else have something they'd like to add? All right. Thank you for accommodating me on Wednesday. I really appreciate it. Get the homework to me on Tuesday. Jennifer, if you could stay on, we can have a good time together. You can stop the recording. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Linda.